All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Heroes Connect Military to Manufacturing event, where we are continuing the conversation with another wonderful and very well-known manufacturing company who strongly values your talent. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Katie Bowerman. I'm a Senior Program Manager with the Heroes Make America program, and I'll be moderating today's event. Today, we're highlighting a company that I know you've heard of, Johnson & Johnson, J&J. You recognize the name brand. I know you do, but I bet you didn't know all the different types of products that are part of their broad portfolio of this, medical and pharmaceutical giant, and just the different roles that are available and all the different opportunities. So I'm excited for you all to learn about that today. So we're here today to not only connect you as a job seeker with an employer who is actively looking to hire, but more importantly, we want to aim to help broaden our broader military community better understand the manufacturing industry as a whole. Just like today, right? We recognize a brand and then we don't usually automatically associate it with the manufacturing industry, right? And that's what we're here today to talk through. All right, so before we jump into today's event, let's review some quick housekeeping just so we're on the same page. First off, the event is being recorded and it's going to be sent out as part of a recap email. So because it's being recorded, please stay muted throughout the presentation just to minimize the background noise. But even though we're staying muted, I do encourage you to still be an active participant. Utilize the chat feature throughout the presentation. Drop in those questions. Don't wait till the end. If you've got a question, drop it in. And what we're going to do is circle back to those during the Q&A portion. Some of you can come on live if you want to ask a question live, or I'll read them from the chat box if you don't want to come on live. Okay, so let's practice the chat box. Open it up. I want you to drop in two things, right? One, where are you looking to seek employment? So what area, city, state are you looking for employment? And then also if you know types of positions or functional areas, like you want to work in operations or logistics, drop that in too. We've got folks here who are going to be picking through the chat and talking with you all if there's different areas or locations that you list they have available. Cool. While you're doing that, if you're not familiar with Heroes Make America, we are a DoD-approved SkillBridge program that's open to transitioning military, veterans, reservists, National Guardsmen, and military spouses. We provide a variety of certification trainings, equipping our students with rewarding careers in the manufacturing and supply chain industry. You can see here our program managers are rock stars, and the three current training pathways that we offer, which are in manufacturing operations, logistics, and industrial systems. Exciting news, though, we're expanding this year to offer AMP training. So if you do have aviation background, more details on that to come. We've got one that's opening in Wichita, Kansas, and then expansion at Fort Stewart in Georgia. We will drop our contact information to the chat, so you'll be able to connect with us if you do have any questions. Don't forget to tell your battle buddies, though, if you think this program might help them in their post-military career. The last thing I want to be sure to mention, just so you're tracking, so in addition to our SkillBridge, we host a lot of events. So just like this, our almost weekly Heroes Connect event, where we're highlighting one company at a time. We do a veteran learning series. And then, of course, we have in-person and virtual career fairs. We're going to drop in some links here. So go ahead in the chat. We'll drop everything in. But two main ones I want to highlight. One is next week, next Friday, January. That month is gone. February 28th from 11 to 2 Eastern. You can see here I put in all the participating employers. So we've got 14 who are joining us next Friday. So go ahead, register for that, upload your resume. And then if you happen to be in Kansas, we have an in-person career fair at Fort Riley in April. So mark your calendar for that. Whew, that's a lot. So now, without further ado, I'm going to move forward. We're going to first watch a phenomenal video about Johnson & Johnson, and then I'll introduce our key speakers. So let me get that started.
Amazing care starts with amazing people, like our team at St. Francis Emory Healthcare, going
For over 130 years, Johnson & Johnson has been dedicated to improving accessibility and creating healthier, happier communities. Their veteran employees know this is more than just a job. It's the ability to continue their commitment to serving people.
What started with only 14 people in 1886 is now a company we rely on for health and beauty products, orthopedics, vaccines, and so much more. Headquartered in central New Jersey, Johnson & Johnson is one of the largest manufacturers of healthcare, medtech, and pharmaceutical products. In a world where innovation breeds success, veterans can bring their unique experiences and strengths to change the trajectory of health for humanity.
Johnson & Johnson was established in 1886 with just 14 employees, 8 women and 6 men. We now have over 134,000 employees and represented in over 60 countries with over 260 operating companies under the J&J brand. Well, it is a very diverse healthcare company, so the opportunities, the career paths are, in my opinion, endless. Everything from manufacturing, supply chain, research and development, as well as sales and marketing opportunities.
I served 20 years in the Navy. I was a nuclear electronic technician, where basically I ran nuclear power plants on board submarines and aircraft carriers. You know, most of us who serve, we have a straight direction of what we do. We know the mission, we're after the mission. Now when you transition to the civilian sector, you're doing something for you. I didn't anticipate coming into this role. It didn't fall on my lap either, but I did my research, looked into it, and I realized, wow, this is exactly what I want to do. This is exactly the field in which I was taught. What interests me is the challenge, you know, being an engineering technician, making contact lenses, running fully automated machines, utilizing the skills that I learned in the Navy, dealing with servos, PLCs, hydraulic systems. It was just a challenge that I thought that fit what I was looking for.
I joined the Air Force originally, I just wanted to be part-time. And it was just an added benefit to something I've always wanted to do, kind of serve a greater purpose. I think my biggest takeaway from the military is paying attention to detail. Attention to detail is so important in anything you do, and in the workplace is especially important. My current role at Johnson & Johnson is I'm an IDS-2. It's infectious disease specialist, and I'm in the HIV division. We meet with providers and just educate them on the pharmaceutical drug that we sell. So I knew nothing about pharmaceutical sales. I had no experience, and this company has really sparked that energy and motivation to be passionate about what I do, and that's helping patients.
For Johnson & Johnson, veterans are purpose-driven and values-based leaders, and that's just like leaders at Johnson & Johnson. We have a tremendous number of programs available to veterans. The first thing is we always have hundreds of available open positions across Johnson & Johnson in the United States, and they can range anywhere from commercial and sales roles to supply chain and logistics to business roles like human resources or finance or IT. But we also have a number of very dedicated veteran-specific pathways into Johnson & Johnson.
One of the reasons service members serve is we want to feel that we're serving for a purpose. And similarly, at Johnson & Johnson, our credo tells us that we need to serve those who need us first, serve the people that we serve first. And service members, find that our credo emulates the same principles that we look for when we served in the first place.
Making the transition to Johnson & Johnson has been the best decision that I've made. I truly believe that this is my home, and I really do encourage others to find their home.
Are you ready for a commitment to serve and better the health of all communities? Visit their website, careers.jnj.com/veterans.
All right, I hope that got you guys all motivated to learn more from the J&J team. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to Ebony Howard to get us started. Ebony, floor is all yours.
Hi, thank you again. I just want to say, one, thank you so much for inviting us. It's always a super and great opportunity to connect with our military connected community. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. A little bit about myself. I was once in your shoes as well. I transitioned or retired from active duty Air Force in 2020, and my first or my second career, as I call it, my big girl career, is with Johnson and Johnson. So I've been here for a little over 4 years, and I have to say that I am in love with not just my job, but the company as well. So it's always a pleasure to connect with individuals that's transitioning or veterans that might have transitioned a while ago, or even military spouses, just to help with that transition because we understand exactly what you're going through. Today, we have a great team here with a lot of our different program managers. We have Sydney here, who is our Skill Bridge program manager. We also have Courtney, who is my counterpart as a military talent sourcer. And we have Tony, who is the communications lead for a very exciting opportunity that we are super excited to share with you guys today that falls under the supply chain career, and it is at a new location in Wilson, North Carolina. So that is one of the great additions to our presentation today outside of our normal pathways and our J&J overview. So if you guys are excited to get started, I will pass it on to Sydney to go through what who J&J is as a company.
Great. Thanks so much, Ebony. And if we could go to the next slide, I'll kind of circle back on our credo, which I know was mentioned a little bit earlier in the video that was just shared. So first and foremost, the values that guide our decision making here at J&J are really spelled out in our credo. So put simply, our credo challenges us to put the needs of well-being of the people that we serve first. As you kind of saw, we really believe that when we take care of the communities we serve, including employees, success will follow. And the fact that J&J is one of the only handful of companies that have flourished through more than a century of change is truly proof of that. If you want to go to the next slide. Speaking of change, obviously grown a lot, from that initial 14 employees, and now we consist of, over 152,000 employees across 260 plus companies across 60 different countries. And really, thanks to their collective expertise, innovative thinking, and dedication, we touch the lives of more than 1 billion people every day. Next slide. So this is just kind of a look at our innovative medicine and medtech business lines. So Johnson & Johnson is a place where you can professionally and personally grow by fueling your passion for discovery. So as you can see, some of the work that we do here, and really the global reach and many different functions that stretch across every facet of what we do gives us the chance to evolve our skills, roles, and goals. So no matter where you work or what you're doing, you're solving important and impactful problems that matter to you. So many of our colleagues say there's a lot of opportunity to grow and truly flex professionally here, and that it feels like they can take their career in various different directions they want. They can explore new disciplines, new business lines, and really chart their own career path, and really be satisfied with the work that they're doing. Next slide, please. All right, and I want to quickly touch on kind of our separated publicly traded consumer health company and how we've really kind of been a little bit different over the last several years. So we're constantly charting our future to evolve and lead through an increasingly dynamic world. This really includes how we separated our consumer health business into what is now the new publicly traded company and the creation of the new J&J with our innovative medicine and medtech business lines. So the new Johnson & Johnson remains committed to changing the future of human health. So we have the pharmaceutical and medtech segments are united by their shared and complementary focus on scientific research and development to serve similar end users, patients, and healthcare providers, and operate in similar regulatory and competitive environments. The separate consumer health business will truly be a global leader with a powerful portfolio of iconic brands, leading positions in self-care. So think of skin health, essential health, which includes baby care, feminine care, etc. So anywhere from our vaccines to cancer treatments, the work that we do has the power to impact billions of lives each and every day. Next slide, please. And as you kind of heard earlier, I mean, J&J has a strong legacy of support and engagement for our military. And this really started back with the Spanish American War in 1898. I mean, our company began its support of employees in the military by holding positions for employees and paying salaries while they served. The company's support continues today with our enhanced military leave policies, and then General Johnson, which is the name that followed him even into the civilian career, served in World War II and wrote our credo, which we spoke about earlier. Finally, our former CEO and our current executive chairman, Alex Gorski, is a huge supporter of our military community. He's a West Point grad and served in the Army for 6 years. If you want to go to the next slide, we can kind of get into some of our military pathways that we offer here at J&J. First, we'll start with our Skill Bridge program. So our Skill Bridge program is designed specifically for individuals that are separating from the armed forces, active duty military service members. So as an approved Skill Bridge provider, J&J's program supports 3 to 6 month long internships, emphasizing experiences in high demand capabilities and hiring needs in our businesses during the last 6 months of service. So this can vary anywhere from supply chain technicians to operations, sales, IT roles, from HR to engineering, project management. The J&J Skill Bridge program spans a wide range of functional areas. You'll also find opportunities across a number of different levels. So think of anything from analysts, managers, directors, and more. So as you must know, we're the largest and most broadly based healthcare company, which means we need a lot of support from various different business lines as well. I do want to note that SkillBridge roles are designed to support opportunities for conversion to permanent roles at completion of the program for successful participants. I do want to note here, you can see some of the locations where we offer this. So up in the Northeastern New Jersey and Pennsylvania, we do offer this out of California, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Ohio, Massachusetts, Texas, and we would love to, open this up to Wilson, North Carolina as well. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Courtney now to talk about another pathway that we offer at J&J.
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, everybody. I am Courtney Taylor. Just want to thank you all for showing up today. Let's talk about something that might not have been in your in in your what do I want to say, train of thought when it comes to searching for roles. So we have what's called the Veteran Sales Associate Pathway, VSAP by short. And what that is it is a full-time role. So you would be a sales associate here at Johnson and Johnson. And with this role, we are looking for a minimum requirement of a bachelor's degree, at least 2 years military experience. And really, those are the hard qualifications for that. So with the Veteran Sales Associate Pathway, you would be leading pharmaceutical sales. And I, kind of want to debunk some train of thought here. I think a lot of times when folks think about sales, you think about, lugging around a bag of goods that nobody really wants. That's not what sales is at Johnson and Johnson. You are truly a valued consultant, if you will. You are connecting with physicians, with their teams, really identifying what flags, what pain points for their team, for their patients. On the pharmaceutical side of the house, it could be something such as, hey, this pill for my chemo patients, it's too big. So taking that feedback back to the J&J team and really being able to provide that consultative thought partner approach to physicians and their teams. So with the Veteran Sales Associate Pathway, you would go to our career site, and these roles would be identified as Veteran Sales Associate Pathway VSAP roles. Now, what I encourage you to do is, once you identify this role, go ahead, tailor your resume, go ahead, apply to that role. Oftentimes teams are held to 5 days of keeping those roles posted. Some teams will keep those roles posted longer. Oftentimes they don't. So if you see it, go ahead, apply right away. and we've dropped the J&J inbox or email address into the chat. Go ahead, shoot an email to that email address. And what Ebony and I will do is we will schedule a chat with you so we can really learn more about you, about your experience, why you are interested in sales. So we can create almost like a one pager, a highlight reel of all things you. Once we hop off that call, what we'll do is we'll send your profile, your resume, that one pager to the hiring manager, to the lead recruiter for the role to really advocate on your behalf. So that's a little bit more about the veteran sales associate pathway. And then if we could hop over to the next slide, let's talk about direct hire opportunities. So here's another thing when it comes to sales and other direct hire opportunities. Hop on over to our career site. If there's a role that piques your interest, again, follow that same workflow, tailor, edit that resume, fire off that application, shoot us a quick ping in that military email address so we can connect with you. Now, with sales, direct hire sales, you're also going to see in the minimum requirements, you will see the bachelor's degree. You'll see another bullet that says, 2 to 3 years pharmaceutical or medical sales experience. But you'll also see another bullet that says, or transitioning military, or minimum 2 years active duty military. As long as you meet that qualification, go ahead, apply. You don't have to have that sales experience. And for VSAP and for sales roles, they have a very robust onboarding process. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, well, I've never sold before, or I don't really know much about medical or pharmaceutical sales. Kind of the nuances between the pharmaceutical sales and medical sales. I want you to think about pharmaceutical as more medicine, medications, and I want you to think about medical device as ortho. So think about screws, think about hip replacements, spine, trauma. Now with some of those type of roles, you have a pager, you're on call, you are in the OR with those physicians, with those teams, because you are the true subject matter expert of that product that you're supporting. So helping with any troubleshooting that needs to occur there. So just wanted to give a little high level overview there, but not just limited to sales. Again, hop over to our career site. If there's a role that piques your interest, you apply right away. You shoot us an email, we connect, and then we will advocate on your behalf. So just a little bit more about those direct hire roles. And now I'm going to pass it over to Ebony to wrap things up for us.
Hey everyone, I'm not Ebony, but I'm Tony, and I will quickly describe maybe some opportunity that is of interest to you in Wilson, North Carolina. First of all, I was in all of your shoes about 3 months ago. I am brand new to Johnson & Johnson, just coming on board January 6th. So I know what it's like to be on these types of calls and these networking opportunities. Trust in the process, continue to be diligent in following up on leads and making connections and talking to people. It definitely has benefits. And in fact, my own experience here getting to J&J was directly based on a conversation I had with an employee here, and it just kind of turned into a position. So, there's times where it feels a little monotonous and hard, but stick with it. So on the slide that you see in front of us is a great opportunity outside of what they're calling the research triangle in North Carolina, that Raleigh, Durham, Wake Forest, Chapel Hill area, which is a great part of the country, both climate, access to the Northeast, to the South, to the mountains, to the beach. And there's a lot of military there. There's a couple of you that are close to that area, and I know Fort Liberty / Fort Bragg is right down the road. Cherry Point, Camp Lejeune, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base is close by. So a lot of military in North Carolina, a fairly military friendly state. But really what we are doing as Johnson & Johnson in North Carolina is investing in a brand new $2.2 billion biologics manufacturing facility. This facility is producing, I believe Cindy was talking about our innovative medicine line, our innovative medicine business in Johnson & Johnson. Think of innovative medicine like our pharmaceutical side. So biologics are yeah, I'm brand new, so forgive me if I'm not particularly great on the science, but they're drug made from organic material. It's not synthetic drug manufacturing. It's drugs made from essentially produced organic material. So in this facility, we will be looking for positions in supply chain management and logistics, a lot of the high-tech manufacturing operations and facility management, quality control, supply chain management, I think I mentioned supply chain, and then procurement. And being that it's a brand new project, there is so much room for learning and growth. I know we had talked about Johnson & Johnson being a great company to learn and grow, and that is absolutely true in my very limited experience. However, I know that it will be true in this facility as well. You get to learn the business, you'll get to learn supply chain, you'll begin to learn manufacturing right from the ground floor, essentially. There's not even a building here yet, so you'd be coming on as a first hire or as a brand new member of this team that's growing something or nothing out of or something out of nothing. So really great opportunity, about 50 miles east of Raleigh, right on the I-95 corridor in Wilson. Great community there. The halfway point between New York City and in Florida. So if you're interested, I believe one of my colleagues put our LinkedIn profiles in the chat, so feel free to reach out to me, and I will be happy to maybe turn you on to something that interests you. And everything, I believe if we go to the next slide, is our landing, our hiring page for the Wilson site. So you can take a look at all of the positions that exist with our project. So again, I appreciate your service and what you've done. And like I said, I was not too far removed from where you are, and there is light on the other side. So hope you have a great day, and go on to the next slide, please.
Thank you so much, team. Did I unmute myself? Okay, I think you guys can hear me. I'm playing around with Zoom all day. So I know you guys have heard so much great information in the awesome opportunities that's available within J&J. So it's a couple of things that we want to highlight now. I know you guys are on that logistics supply chain track, where most of you guys are with Heroes Make America pursuing that those type of opportunities. But say you are leaving the military and you have no clue how your skills fit into J&J. We have this awesome tool called Translate Your Skills and Jobs at J&J. You go in, you click on the corresponding button that you are most likely associated with. So whether it's veteran currently serving, if you're a military spouse, or even if you're a student veteran, you put in all of your information. What's really cool about this tool is it does use what you did in the military. So you put in either your MOS, your rate, or your AFSC, because I'm Air Force. And it allows you to put in your experience, your educational background, your areas of interest, your location, and then it populates a list of jobs that are currently available in J&J that you meet the minimum requirements for. So that is an awesome starting point. I ask that before you reach out to anyone on the military team outside of connecting with SkillBridge or opportunities at Wilson, North Carolina, if you would go ahead and complete your profile to give you an idea to best capitalize on our time when we set up our one-on-one discussion. So we can go right into getting you and finding you something that piques your interest at J&J, and use our time wisely to help do whatever prep we need to get you in front of the recruiter and the hiring manager. Next slide, please. And then last but not least, how can you be a part of our wonderful team? Go to careers or jnjcareers.com and you will open our career site, and you can search anything within that career, within that search bar. What we have listed on the slide is just a few of our keywords based off of what we discussed today, whether it's military pathways, our pathways or SkillBridge, sales associate, and Wilson, North Carolina. So it not only takes a specific job, but you can also search by location. With a lot of individuals being in that supply chain area or area of expertise, I also want to highlight some of the other areas outside of Wilson that we have huge supply chain presence as far as our manufacturing plants. We do have opportunities in Jacksonville, as well as Athens, Georgia, San Angelo, Texas, Malvern, I think that's Pennsylvania. I feel like it is. And just other opportunities, even some in California. So definitely use that career search bar to type in whatever location you're in. And you can see, again, a list of jobs that are in that area. And then you can narrow it down even further with the area in which you're interested, as far as if it's supply chain, logistics, administration, anything that you can think of, you can definitely search through the career site. And I want to say that is our last slide, and we are now opening it up for Q&A. I know there's a lot of interest in that Wilson, North Carolina site, so please ask away.
All right. Thank you, team. That was wonderful. Lots of great information. And I think we planted the seeds on a lot of different topics. I can see their wheels turning on the questions. So I'll put a plug here. If any of you want to come on live to ask a question, that is allowed. Just use the react button on the panel and use the raise hand feature, and then we'll call on you when available. Okay, so go ahead, either raise your hand, think of a question, or drop it in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and start with a big picture one because you had mentioned the main locations, the Jacksonville, the Athens, the San Angelo, some in California. But I had a question regarding the sales roles, right? Because if they're going out to talk to the peoples, are those remote? Are they on their own in a region, or how does that work?
I'll let Courtney take that one.
Absolutely. With the sales roles, those are not remote roles. And to be completely transparent, it's very rare to see remote roles at Johnson and Johnson. So with the sales roles, you would be dedicated to a region, to an office. Now, most of the time you're on the road, and what the road is going to look different depending on your geographic location. If you're in a very, busy metropolitan area, typically those hospital clinics are within, a couple block radius, so not as much travel. If you're in the Midwest, Kansas, Colorado, you're going to be clocking some travel time. Now, with all those sales roles, you are given a company vehicle, so you're not having to use your own vehicle to commute from here and there. But very much encourage folks, type in sales. I always keep it very broad. So I'll do United States as a filter. I'll do just the state as the filter, and then I'll just enter sales, nothing else. Because I want to do a broad search, and that way I can kind of, tailor it down from there. So start broad, then get more granular with your search. But yes, those would be like hybrid, because you would be in office some days, but mostly you're traveling.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that, Courtney. Yeah, because I was thinking they're all over the place, but yeah, they probably have to go to home base every once in a while to to do some work. Thank you for that. We have a couple live questions. I've got a whole list of questions here, but I'm going to let Austin go first and ask his question. Austin, where'd you go?
Hey there, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, JG team. I have a question about specifically about the Wilson opportunities. I know they're going to be continuing on moving towards Wilson. On some of the jobs that I've applied for, I saw that they are president in the greater Philadelphia region before they moved to Wilson. I was wondering if you could elaborate on how that would work if we were to be onboarded here in the next couple months.
Yeah, no, I can answer that pretty well. So come this summer, everyone who's on the project team will be in Wilson. So right now we are still kind of in that in-between spot between project and the build of the location. But there will be spots for all employees to work out of in Wilson come this summer.
I have a follow-up question to that, if you don't mind. So my separation date is in May. Assuming that I can find a good position with Johnson & Johnson for the Wilson plant, when do you guys expect to start taking on employees for that?
Yeah, I wouldn't overthink. I wouldn't overthink the timing of that. It seems like you're in a good window. So we are hiring people now and into the future. So you just find the right job and the rest will kind of work itself out, Austin. Like I said, you seem like you're in a good sweet spot of your timing. So nothing in your specific situation concerns me.
Thanks, and I'm hoping to work with someone on your team. I want to find my next home outside the military, my big boy job, and I'm hoping that maybe one of you can help me find something that I would be really good at there at J&J. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin. And that's the wonderful thing about J&J, because they have specific folks, these folks who are working with our military population to help you guys in the process. So definitely reach out to Tony, Austin. All right, Brittany, you're next. Come on live, ask your question.
Hi, everybody. So I noticed someone mentioned that you should tailor your resume for specific roles, or you don't have to have certain experience for different roles. But how can you get past the AI when you apply for the jobs that you may not do that on a day-to-day basis, but you can do it? You may have the degree and background, being in the military. How can you get past that?
I can take that, team, and wonderful question. So let's talk about decoding that job description, because Brittany, you're spot on. We do need to tailor your resume, your bullets for each role you're applying for. So just in general, each job description is going to start the same. You're going to have a couple paragraphs about the company itself, and then you're going to have what I refer to as a very juicy paragraph before they start bulleting out the requirements, responsibilities that you'll do. In that juicy paragraph, it is literally telling you what you would be doing in that role. It has key words that need to be in your summary, in your job bullets. Are you completely copy and pasting, that juicy paragraph into your resume? No, you're not. But the verbiage that's in there, like let's say some of that verbiage is presenting insights to C-level executives. Okay, I can tell you that needs to be in your resume, just that phrase. So ensuring that that's in your job bullets. So what you're going to do is you're going to have that verbiage in your bullets, but then you're going to add your story, your examples around that. So that's kind of how you're gonna be able to get past the robots. Companies work off of two different ways. I've seen companies that have real live humans sitting behind two screens, and the job description is on one screen, candidate resumes are on the other. So that individual is looking to see if there's alignment. Other companies do rely on the applicant tracking system, and they're scanning for those keywords. So That's one way you can ensure that, the verbiage aligns, but you can also decode that job description a little bit deeper. Tell me about a time in front of those minimum requirements. And I can guarantee you most likely that's going to be what's asked in an interview of you. So let's say, minimum 5 years experience in SQL. That's a requirement. Me as a recruiter, I can guarantee that I'm going to say, tell me more about your experience in SQL. Do you feel you're at intermediate, advanced? So throw some tell me about a times or walk me through those job bullets, and that'll also kind of help you get prepped and ready for interviews as well. Also, I utilize ChatGPT when coming up with potential interview questions. Copy and paste that job description, put it in there. Hey, ChatGPT, what are some questions that might be asked of me in this job interview? It does a really great job kicking questions out. Also, use it on your resume as well. Is it your final answer? No, it is not. But I feel like there's no difference between hiring a resume writer and utilizing ChatGPT. Here's the job description. Help me kind of tailor edit my summary for this role. Is it final answer? No. Add your voice, add your flavor. But I don't know anybody who sits behind their resume and is like, I love editing my resume. Like, nobody ever. So utilize like the free resources out there. And something I also did want to flag to everybody, because I've noticed a lot of folks who are like, hey, I'm looking for this role, this role, this role. So Ebony and I are not the lead recruiters for any of the roles here at Johnson & Johnson. Typically at Johnson & Johnson at any given time, there's over 1,300 roles posted. So what we are is we are your advocate. We are your liaison. So when you identify roles on the career site that you're like, yeah, this is my role, I'm applying. You apply for that. You shoot us a quick email. This is the role that I saw. This is the job title. This is the rec number. We hop on a call to learn more about your skills, your experience, how it aligns with that role. And that's when we are able to advocate on your behalf. So just wanted to flag that to everybody. Didn't want y'all to think, oh my gosh, they're not telling me what roles they have. Unfortunately, we don't have like any kind of insight into all of those 1,300 roles. So hopefully that helps. I'm sorry, that was a very windy answer.
That was a great answer. And I love that you throw in work smarter, not harder. So utilizing our resources to help identify some of that. So hopefully you all took that away. I was going to mention that as well. But I think that's great insight to your role, how to apply for the positions, and just how to tailor. So great answer. I know you guys don't necessarily own the roles, but when we've got some folks, I was looking through all their positions they're interested in. Can you talk a little bit about just broad picture functional areas that they could be considering within manufacturing or whichever, the supply chain side? So like what does operations, what kind of roles are within that versus business roles like HR and marketing? Can you just give a kind of a picture of what those are? Is that something we can do?
I think as a high level, yes, we can, because I'm not, when I say HR is because that's my area. So I'm really like very well versed within HR. But when we say HR, our HR is broad, right? So what specific function in HR are you looking for? Yes, you can be an HR professional, but within HR, you have total rewards, you have talent acquisition, you have ER, LR. Outside of that, a lot of things that we look at when we are translating skills from the military. I know, just speaking on Air Force specific, and I think it translates to other services as well. A lot of people are in contracting. That's considered procurement for us. So you just want to know how to translate what you do into corporate speak, as we say, or corporate America, that different job language. But it can be anything. When we look at supply chain, you have the manufacturing, you have engineers, you have technical supervisors, you have line support, we have salary versus wage, we have different degree requirements. So it's a very broad spectrum of what falls under. We have research and development. Anything that you can think of is out there. I think the first big thing is just starting with that translate your skills job tool on our website. If you're trying to figure out where do I fit in, I think that's an awesome starting point. One thing to make note of, if you have your degree in a specific area, but not necessarily the experience in that area, but that's where you want to pivot to. Understand that sometimes, yes, that means that you might come in on what we consider entry level positions. So you have to be open to a lot of that. I hear a lot of military, and I was the same way. Wait a minute, I did 23 years in the service. What do you mean I'm coming in as this? Well, yeah, because you're pivoting, you're moving into a different career, a different industry, everything. But that supply chain though, those tracks, they do translate well in J&J. So I hope that answered the question. Anyone else want to add to that? I know Tony is here and Sydney, especially with SkillBridge, for what you see.
So I just pulled up one of our job postings for the Wilson site, and it's in procurement. And I know that their supply and, being a quartermaster and a logistician in the military, that's a big community. There's a lot of service members who work in those communities. So just a quick, like, very specific to this job, but support sourcing processes related to direct material categories, right? Such as chemicals, biologic material with specific regions in North America, handle spend of approximately $100 million annually, supporting strategies initiatives aligned with procurement strategy, handle relationships and procurement activities. So you can substitute procurement into supply, or logistics, or even working in a motor pool or a maintenance facility. Like, there are people probably on this call who have done that type of work before, and I know a lot of my friends in the military still do that type of work, and those are specific things in the job description. There are the key responsibilities that exist in an open job now. So yes, they do translate, in this is just one of many examples.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. And thanks, Ebony, for that. I think that just helps get their wheels turning on different opportunities. I do see Brandon has his hand raised. So Brandon, what's your question?
Hello, everybody. So I was kind of curious, are some of the positions also through a temp agency as well? Because I know some of them are not really added on the actual website itself. So for me, I used to work for J&J back in 2016, 2017 in the QA/QC department. Just trying to see, was there anything like that's through like a temp agency website or another website that's not posted on the main J&J website?
So I guess, does J&J use a temp agency, do you guys know, to fill any roles, or is it all direct through J&J?
We do use various agencies to fill roles, and I will recommend connecting with those agencies. One of our main ones, I think, is Kelly Services, but we also have a link on the main page, if I'm not mistaken, that takes you to contractor positions. So if that's what you're looking for specifically, then I would at least start there, just to get an idea of what might be out there for you. The other thing would be, again, to connect with one of us on the talent sourcing team, and hopefully we could get you into a full-time position, but also
Yes, ma'am.
knowing that the contracting positions are out there, we can try to see that route as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ebony. I have another one in the chat about, obviously J&J is a very global company, lots of opportunities, and some of the ones that are popping up for this individual are overseas. So how does that work if it's a position overseas? Vladimir, I'm not sure if it's something, a certain specific country, but do you guys know how that works with the filling the overseas roles?
So a lot of times when it comes to the overseas, there are overseas opportunities. Coming right in as a new employee to J&J, they're normally sourcing, when you go to our website, it's going to be global, right? Because we're a global company. So you can pull up anything from continental United States to Germany or whatever, whatever it might be. But coming in, a lot of times those positions are reserved for individuals that are already located in that area. So I would be very, there's a chance that they might be open to relocation. Of course, understanding that relocation is always budget dependent. So if you have, like, it's always best to try to look for something in your area. Or if you are looking for remote opportunities, you can search remote. Like Courtney said, there aren't as many out there, especially now, but there could still be a few. Definitely search remote. But once you're in the company, there are opportunities to work overseas with relocation.
Awesome. Thank you. No, that's perfect. If anyone else has questions, drop them in. I've got another one because it was briefly mentioned, student veteran, and just kind of like, that's what are the pathways? What does that mean? Do they have to actively be pursuing, or they recently graduated within a certain amount of years? What would that category mean? I think
So
Courtney
yeah,
fell off.
student veteran, that just means that you're a veteran and you are either currently or recently graduating. Either you're in a graduate program or you've recently graduated. So when we talk about student veteran, we're talking about a lot of our LDPs, leadership developmental programs, and we have them in every facet, from the sales opportunities to HR to, I think there's a procurement, a gold, which is, I think, our supply chain area, global operations leadership development program, if I'm not mistaken. But if you go to the career site as well, there's a link that you can click on that has co-ops, internships, and LDPs, and it kind of gives you a summary of what's available, what's the requirements, and all of that good stuff. But yeah, it's typically geared towards current students or those that are recently graduating or graduating within a specific time frame. So, like for instance, for our HR LDP program, which is our human resources program, they're probably looking for people that have a graduation date of either December 2026 or December 2025. I'm sorry, we're in 2025, or spring 2026. So there is a forecast.
Awesome. No, that's perfect. Because I know a lot of our folks, right, they might be currently pursuing, or maybe they're going to separate it and pursue their education. So knowing that that's an option for them as well, a pathway that kind of sets you aside from the masses, right? That's the point. Could you talk a little bit more about the LDPs? You mentioned some of the areas, but are they hired at a certain time of year, or are they hired all around the year, or can you give a little more detail on the LDPs?
Normally, the application process is open during the time frame, as far as they normally coincide with like the graduation date. So they'll probably open spring or fall, and they accept applications for that following year cohort. The tracks really just depend. The best thing I would say for individuals to do to keep abreast of what programs are open and when they're opening is to join our global talent hub. So if you go to our careers.jnj page, backslash or whatever the slash is, military, you'll see join our global talent hub, which is huge because in that, it one puts you in a database that we use for sourcing for opportunities, as well as you can again put your information in your areas of interest. So it would be LDPs, whether it is human resources or whatever track. And when those specific jobs open, you'll get an email notification. So that's really important. That way you don't have to constantly search the website, or like Courtney said before, our jobs only required to be open for is actually a minimum between 5 and 7 days. So if you're not paying attention, you can easily miss that. So you want to get in there and get the notification, excuse me, exactly when it comes out. So that way you'll have time to tailor your resume specifically for that job.
Awesome. Thank you, Ebony. So you heard her. Join the global talent community. Put your resume up there. And then remember your steps. Apply to the job. And once you apply, email this team so then they can advocate for your behalf. It's pretty quick steps. But I highly recommend, even if you're thinking, I don't know, maybe not one of these areas, just sign up for the global talent community. See what opportunities are available and have them email you, and you can filter through it that way. So I love that advice, and it just makes it easier for these folks when they're applying to a bajillion jobs and looking at different companies. So, all right. We've had some really great questions. We have a few more minutes. Does anyone else have any more for this team before we wrap it up for the day? Brave souls out there. Anyone else want to come on live? Okay. While they're thinking about it, from the three of you, any last words you want to mention, any other advice or tidbits that you want to give this group before we let them go today? So Ebony, I'll start with you. Anything you want to, final thoughts?
I would just say you're taking the first steps, and this is huge. Networking is huge. So being able, one thing that was probably the biggest thing for me with transitioning was being able to talk about myself, right? Because in the military, we're taught team this, team that. Understand what the value that you bring to the table, and be willing to network. These are great opportunities. Like Tony said, it started with reach out to someone, and they connected, and the rest was history. So definitely network, work on your resume. Don't be afraid. Be patient with the process, because you can interview for quite a few jobs, right? Take it as experience. You're gaining experience on what it takes to interview. And then again, reach out to our team. We're always here to help with J&J or just any other transitioning questions that you might have. And then I'll turn it over to you guys.
I was going to say, I mean, to piggyback on what Ebony was mentioning, definitely utilize networking, right? I think that's a huge tool. And take individuals up on the help that they have to offer. Take Ebony and Courtney up on the help that they have to offer, and reviewing your resume. You're going to be so successful and hopefully landing something here at J&J. So just, I can't say it enough. Network, network, network. And do that, from, a year out, 6 months out. Even when you land a job, continue to like build that network. And it will definitely show up for you.
All right. The one big piece of advice that I have is this: ensure that when you are talking with someone, you have a general sense of what you want to do, because there's going to be a lot of, you're still discovering what you maybe want to do, and that's okay. But when you're talking with someone who is working at a company, who maybe in talent acquisition, saying, hey, what would you have available? Like that is a very, very broad question that we can't always help you with, right? Unless we know a very targeted subset of what your skill set is. Yeah, and that's not always the best way to connect with someone, or to kind of help yourself. So if you're interested, or if you have a skill set in an area, it's better to start from a more kind of specific angle than be general, right? Because there's just way too much there's way too much out there, and it's not defined enough for us to help you. So be specific in what you're looking for, and that may make you uncomfortable because you may not know that yet. So there's some self-discovery that goes into this, and I'm sure you're in that middle of that self-discovery now. So if you're not, it'll work out, and you'll land where you're meant to land.
Awesome. Great advice, all three of you. And Tony, I love that self-discovery. But like it was mentioned, 1,300 open jobs at any given time at J&J. They can't just let me pull all this out of a hat, where you got to have some kind of focus area. So that's great advice. So thank you all for being here. Thank you to our presenters for taking the time to meet with you all and share that insight of the company and the different opportunities. And thank you to our participants for being here. We're going to go ahead and launch a poll so that you can fill those short questions out before you leave. But don't let this end right here, right? Explore their website. Remember, join the talent community, apply to a job, email the team. Those are the steps. And that'll help you set yourself apart from the masses and really have these ladies advocate you for you in the process. Okay. Connect with them on LinkedIn. We dropped in their links. Send a connection request. Note, I cannot remind my military folks enough. Don't just send a blind connection request. Add a little note. Say we were on the February 19th Heroes Connect call. Would love to continue to network. Add a request. Follow Heroes Make America while you're on LinkedIn. And then join us next week, February 26th. We're going pharmaceutical, medical today to construction and building materials next week. So next week, we're going to have Saint Gobain, and they're a big company in the construction and building materials space. So you all have a great rest of your Wednesday. Fill out that poll and see you later. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Thanks for joining us.